Welcome to Ridgewood Talks. Through this podcast, we will be introducing you to some of the leaders and legends in our village. We'll keep you updated about fascinating local events. We'll dig into the town's hot topics and so much more. But first, let me introduce myself. I'm Jeanne Johnson, the founder of Ridgewood Talks and Ridgewood Walks. The goal of these initiatives is to create a kinder, more connected, and more vibrant community. I'm thrilled to be hosting this podcast with my good friend and all-around wonderful guy, Jordan Kaufman. We look forward to meeting with you weekly and hearing your thoughts on who and what you'd like to learn about in our beautiful hometown. For now, be kind, do good, and enjoy this episode. Here we go. Hey everybody, I'm Jeanne Johnson, and on today's episode of Ridgewood Talks, we're going to be talking with Amy Ebling from Bergen Family Promise. Amy is the fund development manager there, where she's responsible for fundraising initiatives, donor relations, and organizing events to support Family Promise's mission, which is to provide food and shelter and support for families and individuals experiencing homelessness or housing insecurity. So it's a really big job, and we are thrilled to have you here today, Amy. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Oh, good. So first, tell us right off the bat, what is Family Promise's full mission?
So Family Promise of Bergen County is a Ridgewood-based nonprofit. We've been located in Ridgewood since 2011, but we've been around since 1986. But our mission is to provide housing and support to working families that are facing homelessness, as well as address food insecurity in our community through our nightly walk and dinner program.
I love that. So first, let's start off with the families that you mentioned. Can you give me sort of a general idea of what does a typical family at Family Promise look like?
So what's special about Family Promise is, as you said, we specifically help working families. So we support working parents with children in our community that are facing homelessness. Right. And within our organization, we say a lot that we call homelessness the H word, because people have a preconceived notion when they hear homeless families or homeless individual, what exactly that means. But in reality, people are just like us. These are hardworking families that we support that are just like you and me and everyone else in our community.
And they might have hit a little stumble
exactly,
in their life, right? Yeah.
Exactly. People don't realize how easy it is to really snowball into homelessness.
Right.
It can be a loss of a job. It can be one emergency expense. There's statistics that show that one $400 emergency expense can derail a family.
Right.
It can be a health crisis.
Right.
There's a lot. So we specifically support families that are facing homelessness, and to be qualified for our programs. Everyone in our programs, all their parents are working, are currently in Bergen County, residing in Bergen County, and have a minor under the age of 18 that's a dependent.
Wow. Yeah. And has this problem grown over the last few years since COVID?
I think so. Especially food insecurity as well has definitely grown. The thing is, so Bergen County is a wonderful community, but oftentimes people, since it really is an affluent area, people don't realize that there is family homelessness in our community. There is food insecurity in our community, and it kind of gets swept under the rug. Right. So it's kind of hidden in plain sight. And as I said, the families are just hardworking families that fell on some tough times, and our goal is to empower them to create a brighter future for themselves and their children.
Right. And you do have a lot of support services around that. I know that you have like a financial literacy class, you help people find jobs, things like that. So tell us more about that.
So what's special also is all of our programs really are based in empowerment. Of course, shelter is important, housing is important, but a family can be temporarily sheltered, and then through another program or once they cycle out, if they don't have the tools and resources necessary to increase their income or build their savings or keep their credit score good, they'll find themselves often in the same position they were 6 months later. So what we really try to do is really give families those tools that they need to really break the cycle of poverty for themselves and their children. So we have personalized case management as soon as a family is enters into our program, they begin working with one of our family case managers. And with between the parents and the case managers, they identify goals, long-term and short-term goals. They identify the challenges that led them to housing insecurity, and really they get to the bottom of what the families want, what they want their future to be.
Right. Yes.
And that's so important.
It is. And I will tell you, like, I have heard a lot of testimonials from people who have been involved in the program, and they say that you have helped them make their dreams come true. And I mean, it's not, they don't have grandiose ideas of, oh, I'm going to be a millionaire. It is, I really want to just be able to put a roof over my kid's head. I want to put food in their mouth. I want to be able to put savings into my savings account. And Family Promise really does facilitate those dreams for those people. So thank you for the work that you do. It's really admirable.
It's so exciting to see families thrive. So I've been with Family Promise for 5 years, and just seeing some of the families that have come through our programs, especially in the last couple years, we have one mother got her CDL license.
Oh,
she came
great.
from a family of truck drivers, and she wanted to be a CDL driver, so she got her license, and she actually moved out of state and has bought a house down in
I love that.
I think it's North Carolina.
That's great.
So it's wild. It's so great to see families thrive.
That's great. And I'm sure you've seen a lot of that in your 5 years. And I know that your director, Kate, has been with Family Promise of Bergen County since its inception, I believe. No?
She's been our executive director for the last 15 years.
Okay.
But before that, she was the director of volunteers, and even before that, she was a volunteer. And I mean,
this is in her DNA.
Yeah, honestly, it truly is. And she's so involved in Ridgewood and just Bergen County as a whole. She's in I believe it's the task force for, let me see.
The Food Security Task Force.
I think she's in the
Yep, she is. Yep,
so,
she is. Yep.
But the Ridgewood Chamber, and then the Office of Children.
And Family Services. Yeah, she's a real powerhouse, I must say. I have a lot of admiration for her and a lot of respect for all of you for what you do. Let's talk a little bit about what the families. You said something about the walking. What is it called again?
Oh, so another major aspect of our mission is food insecurity.
Right.
So since 1991, we've had a nightly walk-in dinner program.
Right.
So that's our nightly meal distribution program. It takes place every day of the year in Hackensack. So since 1991, we've served 1.4 million meals to families and individuals that are facing food insecurity in our county. And it's we've never missed a day. Even in the pandemic, we were delivering meals. But it's a really amazing program. It is.
Yeah. I'm going to say that because there's somebody in our town who has been very involved in this, and he was a Boy Scout leader. And he has enrolled all of us in Ridgewood to bring food and come down there. I've been there myself multiple times, and I will tell you there is very little that is more fulfilling than being able to fill someone's belly. You know, and these people are so appreciative. And by the way, it is a fantastic facility down there too. I mean, it's really state of the art. So I encourage everyone to contact Family Promise and volunteer for that program. There are other things that you do there too. Now, some of the fundraisers that you have, I know you have one coming up. It's called the Hike for Hope. Tell us about that.
So the Family Promise Hike for Hope will be held right here in Ridgewood at Van Ness Square.
Great.
It's going to be on Sunday, May 4th. So the Hike for Hope is a 3-mile walk through Ridgewood to raise awareness for family homelessness and also raise funds for our housing support and meal programs. It's been going on since 1993. It was originally the hiker bike, so some people might know it previously as the hiker bike. But it's a fun-filled afternoon of it's perfect for families, students, schools, local businesses. But it's a 3-mile walk through town. But leading up to the event, you can form teams. You can join a team. It's great for team building, and you conduct your own online fundraising campaign, like a peer-to-peer fundraiser. Right. You can complete online challenges to earn points, which the day of the event you can win prizes. Fun. So it's like it really kind of covers all aspects, and it's truly a community event. So we really want to get like everyone really involved.
Yes.
So it starts at Van Ness Square, and then we walk through town and then turn back around. We have a specific route that we've been doing for quite some time.
Oh, and well, Ridgewood is so beautiful that just
Exactly.
to walk alone is just going to be gorgeous.
Exactly.
But then knowing that you're doing something to benefit people who are suffering homelessness is really a real good thing to do.
Yes.
So I want to ask you a little bit, where do people go if they want to get involved in that?
So if you want to get involved, you can go to our website. It's www.bergenfamilypromise.org. And if you want to register specifically for the Hike for Hope, it is, we have a bit.ly link. So it's bit.ly/FPHike25.
Okay, and that'll be on your website.
That'll be on our website.
Too. Well, I encourage people to go ahead and go on your website and learn everything that there is to know about Family Promise. I think you do a program, too, that's involved with our local houses of worship. Can you tell us a little bit more about that, too?
So prior to the pandemic, we did the Family Promise Network. So we were sheltering families in a rotational shelter program. But then when COVID hit, it was put on pause. So right now, families are temporarily sheltered in family-friendly hotels.
Okay.
So they have kitchenettes, they're by transportation, they're like long-term stay hotels. But prior to that, for I think it was 12 years.
It was a long time.
It was a long time.
Yeah.
So we had so many congregations throughout.
Do you think
the
that
county.
will resume or no?
So I'm not sure. Well, so as we turn to the future, our ultimate goal is to secure a building.
Yes, I saw that. Yep.
So we're in the process of that. It was baby steps moving forward.
Right.
But we want to do a headquarters, similar one single headquarters with our offices and our programs. Because even though the rotational sheltering network was fantastic, and it was great to connect with all these people that really want to give back in the community, it was getting difficult for our families because families are bouncing around all the time. So our goal is, with the hotels, it was to keep everyone, it's a little bit more stable. So as we move into what we want to be the Family Promise Center, that will also have several transitional apartments on site. So
that gives more stability for the families and the children especially.
Exactly.
Which is great.
And then once we have that, we want to bring in all our supporters again, and we'll have way more volunteer opportunities, and we really hope to engage all the congregations. And
it's a very big lift, so I would imagine that you have a special fund that's set aside for that. I think if I recall, you do a yearly 50-50 raffle. Is that right? When is that going on right now?
So it is. The drawing will be next Wednesday so March 26th.
Okay.
But we do have, besides the Hike for Hope, we have an annual golf outing, which will be June 16th at Ridgewood Country Club. It's in its 26th year.
Wow.
And then we have our annual gala in October. So we have little things throughout the year, and this year we're trying to do other little events and other little campaigns, and also just ways to engage the community with volunteer opportunities.
Yeah, so tell me a little bit more about those volunteer opportunities.
So right now, the main volunteer opportunities we have are at the walk-in dinner program.
Right.
Since we need volunteers every night of the year.
Right.
And as you said, it's a great way to give back, and as you become almost regular down there, a lot of our volunteers that were heavily involved in the sheltering program prior to COVID switched to the walk-in dinner when everything was put on hold, and they've truly formed bonds with a lot of our guests, and it's fantastic. We need volunteers from 3 to 6 every day.
Yep.
So if anyone would like to get involved with that, they can head to our website. And
what about financial donations? You always accept those?
Absolutely.
On an ongoing basis?
Always. Besides the events and everything else, yes. So if you would like to make a donation, you can make a donation on our website. And we also have do appeals throughout the year as well.
Great.
So
good. Well, for our viewers and our listeners, I want to strongly encourage you to do the Hike for Hope. And that, again, is on May the 4th. It'll be right here in Van Ness Square. And you're going to take a lovely walk around Ridgewood, which will be fantastic because, it's Ridgewood Walks, Ridgewood Talks, and we're all about, promoting the beauty of this town. And then we're also all about connecting with our friends and neighbors throughout Bergen County. So I want to say thank you, Amy, for being here. It has been a real pleasure, and I wish you and Bergen Family Promise the best of luck.
Thank you, and thank you so much for your support.
Always.
Really appreciate it. Thank you.
Take care. Wow, what a great conversation we had with Amy from Family Promise. So in the next segment of this episode, we're going to hear from Bergen County CASA Development Manager Jeanne Heit and Board of Trustees member Cathy Skinner. And this portion is going to be hosted by the one and only Rosie McCooe, so please stay tuned.
Good afternoon. I'm Rosie McCooe, and I am delighted to be today's guest host on Ridgewood Talks. Today, I am joined by a really good friend of mine and fellow Fordham alumni, Cathy Skinner, who's also a Ridgewood resident, and Jeanne Heit. And these ladies are here today to talk about Bergen CASA, C-A-S-A. Welcome, ladies. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for
on our
having us,
Ridgewood
Rosie.
Talks podcast. It's great to see you. And tell me, let's start at the beginning. What does CASA stand for?
So CASA stands for Court-Appointed Special Advocate. And the Court-Appointed Special Advocates are volunteers that come into the Bergen foster care system to advocate for an individual child from removal from the home to their permanent placement in, ultimately in adoption, hopefully. These are the most vulnerable kids in Bergen County. They're being removed from their house for neglect or abuse. And currently we're serving 116 kids as of today. Wow. So, people think of Bergen County as an affluent area, and many areas are, but there's a lot of kids in this system, and
County,
these kids are they're our future. So we really need to, advocate for them.
And CASA is a volunteer organization. It's a 501c3. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. So we are our own 501c3. CASA is a national board. The way it works is most counties in the country have a CASA. So we have one here in Bergen County, but we are run and funded all on our own. So it's up to us to do the work and make the money.
And do you get any government funding?
So we do. However, that's in jeopardy right now. We get 2 grants from, it's called VOCA funding, and VOCA is an acronym that stands for Victims of Criminal Acts. So people who have committed crimes and have to pay fines, those fines go into this pot of money,
Okay.
and then the government draws from that to give us grants. Right now, our VOCA funding is 50% lower than it was last time we applied for it, and we really, really rely on that funding to, to serve these kids. And without it, we are stepping up our fundraising efforts, but it's a significant amount that we need to raise
There's a big gap.
to make up for that lack in VOCA funding. Yes.
And what's the history of CASA? How long has the agency been around, and how long have the both of you been involved with the group?
Well, CASA as a national board was founded back in 1972. So it's been around. It was actually founded by a family court judge. We've been in Bergen County for about 22, 23 years. And Cathy, you've been...
So I think we were in the same class of advocates.
I think I was a year behind you.
Okay,
So I know
so
I'm 4.
I became an advocate in 2020.
And that's the first step.
Yes.
If you're a volunteer, that's your first step, is
Well-
becoming an advocate.
Really, the organization is all about the advocates. The pool of advocates are what advocate for each specific child. So there's one advocate to one child. And so you go through, I think it's 36 hours of training, and then you get sworn in by a judge. So that's the first step. I happen to now be on the Board of Trustees, but I still technically am an advocate. Jen came in the year after me. So I've been with the organization for 5 years, going on 6.
And what is a day as an advocate? What is that? What is a daily, a monthly, a yearly? What does that look like for you?
So it's I think it's different for each advocate, obviously, depending on the case that you're working on. you have mandatory monthly meetings with your child, just to see what's going on in the home, where they're placed at the time.
And do you meet them at the house or you meet them at a neutral location?
It's good to do both.
Yeah.
You're on the case for usually a minimum of a year, so you want to see that child in different opportunities. You definitely want to see where they're living in their resource home that they're living in. Sometimes it's really good to go visit them at the school or a daycare where they're spending the bulk of their daytime. So that way, because the ultimate goal of an advocate is to write a court report for the judge, because when children are in foster care, there's a lot of people reporting on what's happening to that child. The CASA's value is that we're very consistent, because some of the other players may come in and out, like teachers and social workers, especially if the child is moving homes, they're moving different communities, but the CASA stays with that child, and we write the court reports. And there's usually a hearing about every 3 months. So it's up to the CASA to write a report on what's happening on all the facets of the child's life, from what's happening in their education to what's happening in their placement where they're living, to how things are going with the biological parents, if they're allowed to do visits with them. So that's kind of what we're training on as an organization, is to make sure that our advocates understand how to do that and really stay involved on all those facets of the kid's life.
And we have legally access to all of their medical records, their education records. So depending on the child and the case, it could be from 5 hours a month to many more.
Okay.
It just really depends on the situation.
On the age and what's needed.
On the age. I mean, the case that I first worked on, it lasted 3 years. I still keep in touch with him. I see him at least every 2 months. The case has been closed for 2 years now. But I really feel like I developed such a relationship with this little boy that he now asks his adoptive mother, when are we going to see Cathy again? So we meet and go out for ice cream, and it's very important for these kids to know that there's one adult that believes in them, that will always be there for them, because they're moved around so much. And like Jem was saying, their social workers are constantly changing. It's just kind of the way things work.
Kind of the constant presence in their lives.
Yes.
Until they
safe
get
place.
placed someplace.
Until they're either with someone permanently, like a law guardian, or adopted.
Okay.
Yeah.
And can you share one of your best success stories? One of CASA's best success stories?
Well, I actually have a story that's not mine.
That's
it
okay.
wasn't my child that I advocated for, but there was this teen boy who was a very gifted football player, ended up in a high school where it was approaching summer, and he was moved to a new foster home that was an hour away from the high school that he had become attached to, that he had really been successful in this football program, which, again, that's things that are really important for these kids. So he moved an hour away, but the school still wanted him. Summer practices were coming. The foster mom just couldn't handle, it's understandable, couldn't handle driving an hour to practice and driving an hour back. So the CASA, the advocate, actually went and contacted several different people in the school, people that he was involved with previously, to find anybody that could help with this situation so that this boy could stay on the team, which honestly was very important to his ultimate success in life. After much searching, she found a maintenance worker at the high school who lived near the new foster home.
Okay.
And he was willing. He got all of the training to be able to take this boy in his car every day when he went to work. And he said, you know what? I'm going to work every day anyway. So he drove this boy every day to practice.
That's amazing.
Well,
Oh my gosh.
fast forward, the foster family closed their home as a foster home, so he didn't have anywhere to go. Guess who took him? He's
think I
with
know.
him for life.
Oh, that's amazing.
So he is with that man. They had that 2-hour commute every day. They got to know each other. He came to love this boy. And I mean, to me, it gives me chills when I hear
That's an
stories like
amazing
that.
story.
And there's so many stories like that, that if it were not for that advocate, this would never have happened. He would have just continued to bounce around and, become an angry teenager.
That's amazing. Oh my gosh. Thank you for sharing that story. That's really incredible.
Thanks.
And so what is your biggest need right now?
Well,
We're always looking for new advocates. To Cathy's point, we've got 116 kids that we're serving. Last week, I think we got 4 new cases. There's always people coming into the system, unfortunately. So we have to constantly stay on top of reaching out and finding people within the community that are willing to do the work that Cathy and I have done as advocates ourselves. You asked about time commitment. It's not a light commitment, especially in the beginning when you're getting to know the child. Once things are up and running, it's fewer hours, but you never know when things are going to happen. Life happens to all of us. It happens to our foster children. So we need somebody that's willing to step up and make the commitment. But we do need people in the community. Specifically, we need more men. We've got a lot of female advocates, but probably half of our children are boys, so we would really love to have male advocates. We have phenomenal male advocates, and we know that when they're working with a boy, it's more meaningful. So we need more men, and we need more minority and Spanish-speaking advocates as well. We've got a bunch of Spanish-speaking families that we're helping. So,
And if someone wanted to reach out to you to become an advocate, how do they do that?
you can go to our website, bergencasa.org. There's a volunteer link, and there's a form that you can fill out, an informational form. And then once you fill that out, we offer 1-hour info sessions by Zoom, so you can attend from home to learn more about it. There's certainly lots of information about it on our website, but we do have these information sessions so you can find out more. And we've got a training session coming up in the summer, so that's a good time to train. And like Cathy said, it's 36 hours, and most of the training's done by Zoom. There's 1 or 2 sessions that will be held in person, but a lot of it's done virtually, so even busier people can participate. And a lot of the work is done remotely, phone calls, emails, but certainly at least 1 visit with a child a month in person.
And what else do you need?
Well, due to our reduction in VOCA funding, we are in desperate need of funds. We do have a fundraiser coming up on May 7th, a casino night at Seasons in Washington Township, which we also have a link on our website to get tickets for that. But just anybody who can find it in their heart to give, and no amount is too small.
Do you have a donate button on your website?
We have a
as
donate
well?
now button, yes.
Great.
And I love the stories of, people who are in their 20s and just were so touched by a story and give $10. And that $10 means more to us than, we need people to just really be aware of our organization and what it does and how it's serving these kids who are the future of Bergen County. And if we don't help them now, they become even more vulnerable as adults. So, yes, the funding.
Money, and advocates.
Yes.
BergenCASA.org
Yes.
is your website.
BergenCASA.org.
You can donate now. You
Yes.
can buy tickets for your fundraiser, which is on May 7th.
May 7th.
At Seasons.
Yes.
Okay, and what else? What's your biggest wish for CASA?
We just love the work that we do, and we love to be able to support these foster children. So making sure that the community knows and supports us, because what we do is making sure that these kids don't fall through the cracks and don't become a statistic in terms of, becoming homeless, or winding up in dire circumstances such as going to prison or these sort of things. We really want to support these kids so that they can find success in life and create their own path. So again, it's really just connecting with the community and making sure that we're supported in doing that work.
And I'd just also like to add that, I know, we're asking for money. Yes, we are. But these are kids, and it's to bring it down to a base level. No kid asks to be born. Mm-hmm. And they're put in these situations, and, there's no training for parenthood. So a lot of these parents are they're not capable. And these situations are happening in our backyard. So my wish for CASA is to create a greater awareness, to let people know that this is really what's happening in your community. And we really are in dire need this year. And we're both very passionate about the organization.
I can tell.
So
yeah, it's amazing. It's such great work what you're doing, and thank you for bringing the awareness to us, because
thank you.
As you mentioned, we live in a very affluential area, and you don't think there's the need, but there certainly is. The statistics are staggering, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of help. These kids do have a lot of help, but usually the people that are helping are their caseworkers, and a caseworker may have 15 other children that they're helping. They'll have a guidance counselor, but guidance counselor might have 50 other kids they're helping. The CASA is the only person that's truly dedicated to their success, and we stay with them and make sure that all those other players know what's happening, and oftentimes it's the CASA that's catching the situation that might not be signaled in terms of if they're changing schools, making sure that their records follow them and that they get what's needed. There was a situation where this child was struggling at school, and this child hadn't typically struggled before, but it was a new school placement. They had just moved to communities, and the CASA was not sure as to what's happening with the child. Went to the school, talked to the teacher, saw the child in the classroom, and the child wasn't wearing their glasses. And
basic things
those things that overlook, and the CASA said, well, why isn't he wearing his glasses? Nobody even knew to help him find his glasses. Yeah. Sometimes children don't know how to advocate for themselves, so they need one of us to do that. And oftentimes we're also helping the resource home, because the people that are taking these children in, it might happen on a dime, and they don't know about the child or the background, the history. So to have one of us there to help them help the child as the child's living in their home, that massive help.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And also, studies show that it takes just one adult to believe in a child for their ultimate success. So these kids...
Well, it's very hopeful. That's a very hopeful message, right? Yeah.
Yeah, and these kids have... every adult in their life has pretty much disappointed them. So they need that one constant person that isn't coming in and out, and they don't have to get to know. And, they form a relationship, and they start to build trust again. Mm-hmm. So it's very important for their futures and their future success in life. Amazing. Ultimately.
Great. Well, thank you so much for bringing your message to our program.
Rosie, thanks for having us.
BergenCASA.org. If you want to make a donation, if you want to find out more information about your amazing volunteer organization, if you would like to support their fundraiser, which sounds like a blast, on May 7th, everyone loves a good casino night. That sounds great. I hope you sell out that event. Thanks. And thank you for creating the awareness of the needs of our children, and as you said, right in our own backyards. So amazing messaging. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Rosie.
So thank you for following us today on Ridgewood Talks. It's been my pleasure to be your guest host. Follow us on Facebook or Instagram, or you can subscribe to our podcast on all the major platforms like YouTube and Spotify. And we are delighted to be here today in this State of the Union, lovely, amazing Ignite Creator Studios, which is a video podcasting and content strategy for businesses and services located here in downtown Ridgewood. I'm Rosie McCooe, and I would like to thank my guests, Cathy Skinner and Jeanne Heit from Bergen CASA. Please like and follow us on all of our socials, and thank you so much for joining our podcast for Ridgewood Talks today.